What's up guys, it's Pierre. In today's video we're going to compare 4 different types of rackets. What are the differences between a squash racket, a tennis racket, a pickleball paddle, and a paddle? I'm going to show you all 4 of them right now. So the tennis and squash rackets both have strings unlike the other two. We're going to talk about what these other ones are made out of as best I can work out. These two squash and tennis rackets are actually pretty close to the same length. The squash racket's 27 inches long, and this tennis racket looks to be like a 1/4 inch longer than that. Let's see here. The squash racket is about 8 1/4 inches across, and the tennis is about 11 1/4. So the tennis racket has got a wider face and obviously more strings, I think. This particular tennis racket is 16 by 20, and this squash racket is 14 by 19. So these can vary. I know squash rackets do, I'm sure tennis rackets do too. You'll notice this is a teardrop shape. That's common in squash. You can also have tennis. I don't think I've ever seen that. Tennis has always got this traditional head shape. You can see squash rackets like that as well. And squash rackets come in other variations too. I haven't seen as many of those variations in tennis rackets. Here's a Prince racket that I'm going to be reviewing. It's got this fan-shaped power ring pattern. This is a Air Stick 130. They're back, baby. We're going to talk about that in the next video. The beam on the tennis racket is a lot thicker. You can see it's wider here than the squash racket. You just got much more kind of pounding on a tennis racket. The ball's a lot harder. You hit it a lot harder, so this racket's got to withstand a lot more abuse. And the recommended tension on these is between 55 and 65 pounds. And on a squash racket, you're talking more between like 20 and 30, probably, something like that. Another big difference between these two is the grip. I've got an over grip on the tennis racket, but the squash racket grip is much smaller, especially a Dunlop. It tends to be pretty small. The tennis racket, you really got to get a firm grip on it to get some topspin on the ball. And the tennis racket tends to have these much more beveled edges to kind of help you put your grip on there, depending on which grip you use. Squash, I think, is there's not quite as much variation. Everybody uses, I don't even know what those grips are called. I've always just put the corner of my hand on the left kind of edge of the racket. All right, on to the paddles. So for my pickleball paddle right now, I've got this Ben Johns Franklin black paddle. This is, so I'm gonna show you my last paddle, which broke like this for 2 reasons. One, so this shows you kind of, let's see, it's easier to see on this one. This is a Selkirk paddle, Epic Prime, something or other. I broke both of these the exact same way. The grip just broke off, the handle just broke off from the paddle itself. But you can see in here, it's got this sort of honeycomb design. Not every paddle is like that. Gearbox paddles, for example, are kind of all one composite piece, whereas most paddles, in pickleball, you've got like wooden ones, which are the cheapest. I think most of the kind of mid-range rackets are these honeycomb core. Anyway, I believe the Ben Johns paddle is the same thing. This has some differences, that some I like and some that I don't. So this has a 16 millimeter thickness, and I think these are 13. I like the feel of the thicker paddle myself. These are really the only two that I've tried. So I'm still kind of exploring the world of the pickleball paddle. I like the thicker 16 millimeter. One thing I don't like about this paddle, and something you want to be careful of, is the width of the grip. This one, it's just thicker than I really would like. I'm about to find out what it is because I haven't measured it yet. About 4.5 inches around on the Franklin Ben Johns one, and 4 1/8 on the Selkirk one. So that's quite a big difference, and I actually prefer the smaller one. I like to hold my paddle a little more like away from me like that, rather than kind of clubbing it like this. With that thicker grip, I find it harder to, I'm finding it harder to control. It's something I'm still getting used to. I'm actually going to take off this grip. Maybe I'll do it at the end of the video because I want to put on an over grip and see how that feels. We'll see what's in there. Wonder if I can shave it down a little. But first, let's go to the Padel racket, or the Padel paddle. So this, like the pickleball racket, has no strings. This has got a spongy kind of surface. It's got some grit on it, as does the Franklin pickleball paddle. That's something you see in squash or tennis, of course, with strings. This has this kind of spongy material with holes cut through it, and it's much thicker. Both of these, let's find out what the length is. Obviously much shorter than a in squash or tennis. So this is 16.5 roughly, and a Padel racket is Padel paddle. This is 18 inches. So the smallest is the pickle, then Padel, and then the tennis and squash are about the same. This has the, on the grip side, you have to wear this so that you don't, if your hands get sweaty outside, it doesn't fly out of your hands. I almost did that today when I played. This little wrist guard deal here. This grip is actually quite small around. Feels closer to the squash racket, and just based on the feel, let's see. Just 4 inches, which is a little smaller than I want. I might actually come through and put another grip on top of this, just to give it some more, just to give it a little more thickness, and try that out. All right, I'm gonna break into this Franklin now. If you have any interest in seeing what the grip is like, might as well do it. Somebody out there wants to know, what does it look like in there? I'm taking off the little deal. All right, we're gonna take off the overgrip and see what's in there. Or it's not an overgrip, we're gonna take off the grip. You can actually see, this is interesting. I'll show you. You can see that the grip actually has that same honeycomb design as I showed you earlier on the broken paddle. Did not do a very thorough job taking that off, but we're gonna re-grip it anyway. Let's see. I don't think this will do well with me shaving it down, so we're just gonna try and put an overgrip on and see how it goes. Happen to have one here. I like the Solinco Heaven overgrip, as you long time watchers may know, so we're just gonna throw one of those on and see how it feels. Gotta have your electrical tape ready for just such an occasion. I don't know, it still feels a little thick to me. We're just gonna have to keep experimenting on this baby and see if we can make it work. Let's put an eye squash grip on the Padel racket, why not? There we go, nice and thick now. We're gonna give that a shot out on the Padel court next time. All right, that's it. Just wanted to show you these 4 different rackets and how they differ. I'll see you in the next video, bye.